This morning, a Madison refugee resettlement program is financially struggling. What that means for families in the community.
Plus, Wisconsin Attorney General joins a lawsuit against the Trump administration in response to the Department of Education cuts.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3. Now this morning, it's Friday. I'm Kyrie Lee.
I'm Chris Stanford. Thanks for joining us. Big Badger win yesterday. Badger men's basketball got a win in the opening round of the Big Ten tournament. They get to play today, 1:30 against UCLA. So
things starting off good. Bucks got a win last night. I was there.
The Lakers game last night, right? That was last night.
Yes, it was. And actually, Milwaukee's weather was way different than Madison's. Just traveling.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was 60s here. Then you traveled up to Milwaukee, it was 40s. So big difference. So I know we're going to be dealing with some changes in our weather here.
Mother Nature throwing just about everything at us over the next few days. Jacob Montesano is in for Savannah this morning with your first warn forecast. What do we need to know about today, Jacob?
Well, it's going to be a very, very nice day. This will be the warmest day of the year yet again. And it's going to be similar today, Kyrie, because Milwaukee may not even get to 60, but we're going to get into the middle 70s here in Madison. It'll be that lake breeze really cooling things down further east. Now, the big story, though, is actually not how warm it's going to be today. It's the fact that we're going to see our first chance of severe weather tonight. Strong winds up to 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour. But the good news is it will be after sunset, but they could be the storms could be very strong. So here's a look at those high temperatures today. Middle 70s, partly sunny skies, could see a few clouds at times. We also are seeing some light rain right now, but we only are expecting a few light showers during the morning until that chance of severe weather later today. For much of the day, it will be dry, but the severe weather outlook shows a slight risk for our entire area. I'll talk through more details about this coming up in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Hey, folks, don't forget, you can stay on top of those alert day conditions by downloading the free First Warn weather app. Get it wherever you get yours.
A Madison refugee resettlement program is financially struggling after weeks of federal flip-flopping.
An executive order froze funding for the refugees resources offered by Jewish Social Services. That order was later blocked by a federal judge. But the program director says the damage is already done. Refugee admissions and resettlements nationwide were also halted by the same order. Those effects remain largely in place. Refugee Zabi Sahibzada doesn't know when he'll be able to see his family again.
I'm having a phone conversation with them in the morning, in the evening, and they're always asking me what's going to happen to us. Looking into the current executive orders and all these situations, it's kind of breaking my hope.
Zabi Sahibzada came to Madison in 2022, leaving his wife and 5 kids in Afghanistan. If he isn't able to bring his daughter to the U.S., her education may be in jeopardy. JSS is accepting donations right now to help fund their refugee resettlement program. If you're interested, you can look at their website, jssmadison.org.
The Wisconsin Department of Justice is investigating an officer-involved fatal crash that killed 1 man. It happened March 2nd during a car chase that started in Iowa County and ended in the town of Blue Mounds. An Iowa County deputy attempted to pull over 28-year-old Bo Johnson of Platteville, and Johnson allegedly did not stop, leading to a chase. A state trooper also joined the chase, which ended in Dane County when Johnson crashed. He died on the scene. Mount Horeb Police and Dane County Sheriff's Office are assisting the DOJ in the investigation. They say all involved law enforcement are fully cooperating. We now know the name of the man killed in last week's Pleasant Spring shooting. The Dane County Medical Examiner says 23-year-old Kyle Thrasher of Janesville died following a shooting the morning of Friday, March 7th. It happened just after midnight. A 911 caller reported a man was shot at a BP gas station on County Highway N. Thrasher died at the scene. The Dane County Sheriff's Office is calling this a homicide, and the Sheriff's Office says Thrasher and the suspected shooter knew each other. No one's been arrested yet, and detectives are still investigating.
News at the state capitol this morning. A first suspect now in custody in connection to a shooting at Westtown Mall. U.S. Marshals arrested the 28-year-old man in Michigan Tuesday. It was October 25th. Madison police responded to reports of shots fired at the mall. They say a single shot was fired inside, and the people involved fled the scene. No injuries were reported.
Wisconsin's Attorney General Josh Call joins AGs from 20 other states to sue the Trump administration over major cuts to the Department of Education. The lawsuit alleges the administration is gutting the agency as a way to implement an unlawful plan to dismantle the department. Roughly 1,300 employees were notified they would be terminated in 90 days. President Donald Trump has proposed eliminating the Department of Education altogether. Call calls the situation deeply unfair.
Now to news from the state capitol. Governor Evers is asking state lawmakers to fund building improvements to UW-Madison. He's asking for $1.6 billion in total across the UW system. That does include replacing the humanities building at the UW-Madison campus, as well as making renovations to dorms. Republicans at a news conference Thursday expressed disagreement with the plans.
Yeah, I think clearly it's another, just like his last couple of capital budgets, where it's completely unrealistic.
We'll work with the legislature to get as many things done. I mean, this building has to go.
Evers toured the UW-Madison campus yesterday as part of a push to have state lawmakers approve his budget for state buildings. He says some of the uncertainty of federal funding coming out of Washington puts a strain on what Wisconsin can do at a state level.
Also in local politics, Assembly members in the state capitol approved multiple crime-related bills. The bills would make changes to crime reporting in south central Wisconsin. Among the approved, a provision that would require district attorneys to get a judge's sign-off to dismiss certain charges. This would be for alleged crimes like domestic abuse, stealing a car, sexual assault, or crimes against children.
It's appalling as a parent and as a legislator that there's nothing in state statute right now that points out a specific timeline of when a parent must be notified if sexual misconduct occurs between a school staff member and a student. So that's what this bill does.
Those bills now head to the state Senate.
Well, it was around this time 5 years ago that the governor ordered restaurants and businesses to limit capacity because of the pandemic.
In health news this morning, our Ellie LaLiberte checks in with one of those restaurants to see if they've bounced back.
Yep.
Joe Perkins knows firsthand that owning a restaurant isn't always easy.
I've been in the business for 30 plus years.
In the past 5 years, Tutto Pasta became Tutto with a touch of sass, changed locations, but is also trying to recover from the pandemic.
COVID hurt a lot of people, and it's still hurting a lot of people. How do you get back from something that happened that was that drastic?
He's still figuring out the answer to that question.
Most of the time, as a business owner, you can pretty much control what you're doing if you're involved. The pandemic, we couldn't control anything. We're still losing businesses now because of COVID, because people can't catch up. It's difficult.
This week, 5 years ago, Perkins went from a fully booked restaurant to to-go containers, masks, and online orders.
When that happens, you're like, it's like just getting kicked in the stomach. And then you have to talk to your employees. You got to let them know, hey, this is what's happening right now. This is where we are financially. This is what we can do for now.
Perkins had to lay off about 15 of those employees. And although Madisonians like Tom August tried to help,
my wife and I would often do takeout foods from restaurants that we liked and frequented just to try to keep them open.
there are still challenges.
We pay a lot of money more now than we did 5 years ago for our food. Gas surcharges, things of that nature, you know.
So 5 years later, Perkins Takeaways.
Well, my goal would be to have it look like it did 5 years ago, before COVID.
Reporting downtown Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
It has been a long road to recovery. All right, in 2020, Madison lost 30 restaurants who closed permanently because of the pandemic.
5:08 now. It's World Sleep Day today, but how often do you actually get a full 8 hours of sleep? Well, a new survey by the National Sleep Foundation finds 6 in 10 Americans aren't getting enough. To improve our sleep, experts say we should get exposure to bright light in the morning, eat meals at consistent times, and go to bed at a consistent time in a place that's cool, dark, and quiet.
How's your sleep doing these days?
Not so well. I try to do better on the weekend, so the weekends are a little bit better, but during the week for this schedule, not so good.
Yeah, two little kids, working the
two little
morning
ones.
shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to still have a normal night and, still, do all that.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
Mom things, yeah.
I'm surprised that 4 out of 10 people do get enough sleep.
I mean,
40% of people are getting enough sleep.
Retired,
That sounds pretty good.
Retired young people maybe, Hey.
Kids, they asked, they asked a bunch of kids if they were getting enough sleep. Kids are sleeping 12 hours a night.
Yeah, they need it. Well, let's check in with Jacob. What's coming up?
Well, we have that alert date tonight. I'll talk through the forecast, but there's another system next week bringing a whole different type of hazard. I'll have the details later.
Hey, coming up in your morning sports, we're talking Badger men's basketball. Huge win yesterday in round 1 of the Big Ten tournament. See how they did it and what's ahead for the Badger men.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Back at 5:13, nearly 1 in 5 Americans will experience a disability at some time in their lives. In Wisconsin, that translates to nearly 1 million people. One of the oldest charities in the state, Easter Seals, has been dedicated to helping that population since 1926. Last night, they hosted a fundraiser in Madison called Wonderfully Human. The goal is to raise awareness and financial support for programs and services aimed at increasing independence and enhancing the quality of life for those with disabilities.
A big part of our responsibility is to make sure we're raising money to continue to provide those services for these individuals. Not only our kids that love to come to camp, but also farmers all over the state of Wisconsin. We've got a farm program that is not only best in the state of Wisconsin, it's best in nation.
The nonprofit aims to raise $160,000 this year. Easter Seals Wisconsin currently serves close to 10,000 children and adults every year.
5:14, Jacob Montesano in with your certified most accurate forecast this morning with 3 things to know. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Chris, and honestly, I could add 20 more things to this. It's just going to be a very, very wild week, but at least for the next, 24 hours or so, mid-70s today, storms tonight, and it's going to remain gusty both today and tomorrow. So let's take a look at that forecast. Some light showers, maybe some very small pockets of moderate to heavy rain tonight, but that's mostly going to be during the morning hours. By the afternoon, we are going to be dry, and then we are going to see those storms move in a little bit later in the evening and early overnight. The earliest they'll enter our area is around 9 p.m., but especially by 10 p.m., southwestern Wisconsin will see that heavy rainfall, and it'll continue to push off to the east-northeast. Around 11 p.m. to midnight will be the best chance for Madison and surrounding areas to see the storms, and then around midnight to 1 a.m. for areas just to the east and also to the north of that. It all looks to clear out by around 2 to 3 a.m., and by sunrise Saturday, we are going to see a few showers, but we aren't going to see any severe weather. The only chance of severe weather will be from that line tonight, but we could be seeing very strong winds. That is the most likely hazard, possibly up to 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts within the thunderstorms. Small chance of a tornado too, but again, it just takes one tornado to create some very destructive damage, so just be aware of that. Definitely stay tuned to News 3 Now during that time frame. Again, around 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. will be the time frame. Very unlikely we'll see any flooding concerns, and there's only a small chance of some minor hail. Now, as we take a look at the winds, even beyond those thunderstorms, they're going to be very strong today, up around 35 to 40 miles per hour, and they're going to be out of the south, which will help keep those temperatures warm. But as those storms roll through, they're going to be up to 50 miles per hour, and as I mentioned, within the thunderstorms, they could be even stronger. And then we're going to continue to see breezy conditions for Saturday, continuing to be out of the south during the morning, but then they're going to shift during the afternoon out of the west and then eventually the northwest by Sunday morning. And that will be what causes the temperatures to drop so much, as highs will only be near 40 on Sunday compared to the middle 70s today. Now, a little bit later next week, we have another chance of some rainfall. This is starting Tuesday afternoon. Looks like we'll be dry Tuesday, but as we get into Wednesday, we'll see some rain move in. We're not expecting severe weather with this system, but we are expecting some possible snow. As temperatures do look to cool down Wednesday evening into Wednesday night, we could see some snowfall as we head into Thursday morning and possibly even some accumulation, as it does look like we could see some snow for quite a while. Now, how much snow we see is certainly unclear, but temperatures do look to be cold enough to see the snow at that time frame. So if you think it's, warm right now, it's not going to be this warm forever. It's not just going to cool down for Sunday, it's going to cool down for Thursday as well. And with the windy weather that's expected during this time, we could even be talking about wind chills near zero Thursday morning. I know everything is going to happen over the next 7 days. It does look good for Monday, Tuesday. So for those of you that have St. Patrick's Day plans, looks pretty nice then. But yeah, very, very wild forecast for Madison. But that's really kind of just March here in southern Wisconsin, always all over the place.
This is the time of year when you want to be playing your best basketball, and the Badgers entered the Big Ten tournament on a bit of a skid, losing 3 of their final 5 regular season games, but none of that matters now. It's tourney time. Up first for Wisconsin, Northwestern. Greg Gard's squad has never lost to them in the Big Ten tournament, and John Tonje was doing his part to extend that streak. Nothing but nylon on the fadeaway J to beat the buzzer. Tonje had 18, Badgers led by 7 at the break, and it would grow in the second half. Nolan Winter. Dials went up from deep. He also finished with 18 points. That triple puts Wisconsin up 11. And then it was time to close the door. So who do you call in? How about Mad Max Klesmit? He hits the step back triple jack. Badgers on to the quarterfinals with a 70-63 win. And Andrew Banstra was there for it all and has more on Nolan Winter's big-time performance against the Wildcats.
The sunny and 75-degree weather here in Indianapolis did not stop Nolan Winter's storm. The 7-foot sophomore was unstoppable, scoring 18 points and getting it done on the glass, willing Wisconsin to a win.
And the cleanup from Winter. Nolan was great today. Like any other day, though. We missed him in the last game when he went out with his shoulder injury, and it was just great to see him back out there today and actually hooping.
I mean, it's March, so obviously you don't want to miss any of these games. This is what you work all year for. So going through with this week in practices and all kinds of stuff. I didn't really know what to expect, but yeah, it was a relief to get out there and get a good win with the team.
He shows a lot of maturity and just that he's ready to play as a sophomore. So it was so great to have him out there and see him playing freely, and we're going to need him down the stretch.
He's matured into a grown man. He's playing grown man basketball. He's grabbing a lot of rebounds, anchoring us down inside, and then grabbing offensive rebounds, being able to shoot the free and score inside for us is really opening other guys' games up for us.
Winter hits the three. But Winter in Wisconsin didn't come here just to win one game. As Max Klesmet screamed to his teammates in the locker room, we came to win the whole thing. At Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Andrew Banstra, News 3 Sports.
Well, Thursday was day one of the state girls basketball tournament, and Cuba City is on to the finals. They knocked off the Prairie School in the D4 semifinals. Cubans will play for their 12th state title on Saturday. High school boys hoops, Mount Horeb taking on Monona Grove in a Division II sectional semifinal. Vikings without leading scorer Josh Manchester. So Chris Keel put matters into his own hands. He takes it to the cup for two. Mount Horeb jumped out to an early lead. Monona Grove would answer. Austin Luchetti splashes home the triple, and the Silver Eagles cut a 9-point Viking lead down to just 1 in seconds. But Mount Horeb always had an answer. Alex Chapman drains the three ball, and the Vikings are moving on with a 49-45 win. And Luke Fickle and Badger football kicked off spring ball Thursday morning. First of 15 practices in March and April, with a lot of brand new faces on that roster. Mainly at quarterback, Billy Edwards is now QB1 after transferring in from Maryland. Week 1 is only 166 days away. And that's it for morning sports. Have a great day.
You too, Zach. Still ahead, another Cheeto hits the auction block and some special goggles to help you watch March Madness.
We're back right after this. This photo is from Linda. She
very nice.
says, this is the sunset here on the lake. And what a beautiful photo. I mean, you really can't beat this view.
No, it's got me thinking lake life, summertime vibes.
Yeah.
Great state of Wisconsin. Loving this.
And we're finally seeing temperatures warm enough to where you can see not just the sunset, but also the sunrise. Although not every day in the 7-day forecast, as I mentioned, but today it's going to be a mild one.
Yeah. We'll get more on that in just a moment. First, got to tell you about this. You know, another oddly shaped Cheeto is hitting the auction block. Remember that Cheetos that sold for almost $90,000
like
recently?
last week?
Right. Look at this one. What does this look like, Kyrian? Jacob, what do you think?
Jordan.
It's the man. It's Michael Jordan.
I'll say it looks like Dunkman.
Right. Golden Action calls it the Jumpman Cheeto because it looks like the Jordan symbol. It's currently up for auction, so the high bid right now is about $330. That's not too bad. It still has a couple weeks to go, though, before the auction closes.
I think that's the record for the cheapest auction store amount we've ever had.
$300, yeah.
I feel like people are just, like they're welding these Cheetos together at this point or something, so.
Well, hey, I bet you didn't know you needed a special pair of goggles to watch March Madness properly. Check these things out. Buffalo Wild Wings just put out the B-Dubs Vision Goggles. The idea is that you can watch all the March Madness games at once on Wings' dozens of screens. The goggles have 4 arms, 5 mirrors, so you don't miss a second of that action.
Yeah, I think this is real necessary.
Yeah, they're only $10 too.
Yeah,
There you go, get yours starting March 17th.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Jacob's got so much to track coming up in his first one forecast. We'll have that for you when News 3 Now This Morning returns. This morning, shutdown deadline with less than 24 hours to go if Republicans have the votes to pass their spending bill.
Because if this happened in the air, I don't think I'd be standing here telling you the story.
Plus, another shocking moment in the world of aviation.
And we'll show you the newest residence at Henry Vilas Zoo. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Ann Lee alongside meteorologist Jacob Montesano. And speaking of the zoo, it's going to be a great day to start the day to get out there.
Yeah, you can look at this day one of two ways. It's going to be very, very nice, but we do have severe weather earlier, and there also is a minor fire risk today. But like I said when I was here Monday, today is going to be the new warmest day of the year, so I'm bringing the warmth every time I come here.
Something about you and the warmth. You're welcome anytime.
Exactly.
Of course. Anytime, Jacob.
As long as you keep this momentum.
Yeah, we do have a warning from the DNR this morning about that spring wildfire season that is already off to a quick start. This year, about 170 fires have burned more than 450 acres in the state. That is 4 times more than usual for this time of year. State officials want you to check those fire conditions before burning anything outside. Bird permit suspensions will be in effect across several counties today because of the dry weather and high winds. You can find this map and search your county and see what's going on there. Just go search Wisburn on Google or wherever you search.
And the winds may pose a problem today, especially with this alert day.
Yeah, we're going to see strong winds throughout the entire day, especially when we see those storms roll through. And that is the big reason for the alert day, is the possibility of our first chance of severe weather this year. We could be seeing strong winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour within the thunderstorms. But even outside the storms, we're still going to see gusts up around 40 miles per hour. This will mostly be tonight, and it's not going to be until after sunset. So for much of the day, we are going to be dry. But again, we do have that fire risk. Now, looking at the current temperatures, this is normally when we see the low temperature for the day. And these current temperatures are warmer than the average high. Upper 40s, lower 50s across the area. Very, very mild. And looking at the highs for today, we're going to be in the middle 70s. Can't rule out a few isolated 80s, especially in southwestern Wisconsin. It's going to be noticeably cooler in Milwaukee, but still very nice there. Looking at the current radar, we are seeing some light showers out there. Could see some pockets of some moderate, maybe very small pockets of heavy rain. Mostly going to impact our area during the morning. Will be dry for the afternoon hours. But then, as I mentioned, overnight, we do have that severe weather. The severe weather outlook shows a slight risk for pretty much the entire area. I'll talk through the timing of the severe weather coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you so much. And stay on top of the alert day conditions by downloading the free First Warn weather app. You can find that in your app store.
All right, to our top stories this morning. The federal government might not shut down, still might. The Senate is set to vote on a GOP funding bill today that has already passed the House.
Republicans need a handful of Democrats to reach 60 votes and close debate, but Democrats want leverage so they can push back on President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer now says he will vote to keep the government open, but it's still not clear if the bill will pass.
I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people.
The GOP bill isn't the only plan on the table. Democrats are pushing a bill to fund the government for about a month. That's to allow time for bipartisan negotiations.
Some federal offices in Madison are among those notified that their lease could be terminated. The General Services Administration is working directly with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency on this. There's a document that lists the dates that the agencies are set to close. It does not mean that they will close, but agencies would have to renegotiate a lease or move elsewhere. Those locations include the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the FDA, and the Federal Highway Administration.
Today, President Donald Trump will make a speech at the Department of Justice to lay out his public safety vision. This comes as the Trump administration has to rehire thousands of federal probationary workers across 6 different agencies. That's after 2 federal judges ruled the positions must be immediately offered back, arguing they were let go against the law. Those are workers from the Department of Treasury, Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, and Energy and Interior.
More local news now. We have an update to a fire on Lawrence Lake from yesterday morning. 2 seasonal homes are destroyed there in the town of Westfield. Fire officials say the fire started in a pit and then quickly spread to nearby buildings. A 3rd home sustained some partial damage. A detached garage and 2 sheds are also a total loss. No one was inside at the time.
The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is investigating after a driver died in a crash in the town of Oakland. The crash happened on U.S. Highway 18 and CTHA. The sheriff says the driver traveling northbound stopped at the intersection, then proceeded. A semi-tractor trailer driver traveling eastbound hit the vehicle. The driver of the northbound vehicle died at the scene. The driver of the semi-tractor is uninjured.
Dramatic